You didn't lose control of your life. You gave it away, and you remember exactly when it started. Not years later, not over time. It happened in moments, small ones. You traded it, piece by piece. The first time she was disrespectful, you caught it immediately. The tone shifted, the respect dropped, the line got crossed, and you paused, not because you were confused, because you were calculating, is this worth it? Do I really want to deal with this right now? Is this going to turn into a problem? So you let it go. Right there. That was the moment. Not later, not after 10 arguments. Right there. You saw it clearly and chose not to act. And once you do that, the next decision becomes easier. Because now you've told yourself avoiding conflict matters more than correcting behavior. So the next time it happens, you hesitate less. You let it go faster. Then it happens again and again. And now you're not deciding anymore. You're following a pattern you created. And this is where men lie to themselves. They say, I'm keeping the peace. I'm staying controlled. I'm not overreacting. No, you're training yourself to tolerate behavior that should have been corrected. At the same time, you're training her on exactly how far she can go. That's how this works. You allow it, it repeats, it expands every single time. So what changes? Not her, you. You start watching your words, not to communicate more effectively, to avoid her reaction. You start measuring your tone. You start choosing silence in moments where your first instinct was to respond. And it doesn't stop there. You're sitting at dinner. She cuts you off mid-sentence. You notice it. You keep talking anyway, or you stop and pretend it didn't happen. You're in the car. She says something sharp for no reason at all. You feel it. You look out of the window and let it pass. You're in your own home and you can feel tension before you even walk through the door. So you adjust before anything even happens. That's not leadership. That's anticipation of conflict. And you've trained yourself to live like that. Day after day, moment after moment, until it becomes automatic, until it feels normal. And the longer you do that, the more it shows. You hesitate more. You second guess faster. You replay conversations after they're over. You already know what you should have said, but you chose not to say it. And you already know you won't say it next time either. That's the loop. And how years disappear, not through chaos, through small moments of disrespect you let slide. And here's the part most men avoid thinking about. Where does that lead? 5 years of that. 10 years. Now you're older. You're still in the same position, still measuring words, still avoiding her reaction, still managing someone else's behavior instead of enforcing your standards. And now it's not just a habit, it's who you became. That's where regret hits. Not because you failed, because you knew. The entire time, you knew when it started. You knew what you ignored. You knew what you should have said and you didn't. Now let's shift this. Let's say you decide you're done. You say something. Clear, direct, no emotion behind it, just truth. What happens? Does everything just smooth out? No. That's where it actually begins. She pushes back immediately. You've changed. You're being difficult. You're selfish. And the term every woman loves to throw around. You're a narcissist. Why are you making this a problem? Because now you're not predictable, and predictability is what made everything comfortable. So she tests you. She pushes you. Watches to see if this version of you is real or temporary. And this is where most men fail. not at the beginning, right here. Because this is where it gets uncomfortable. So what do? They soften it. They explain too much. They pull back. They apologize for something that didn't need an apology. And just like that, everything resets. Back to the same pattern. Because you showed her nothing actually changed. So understand this clearly. Speaking up doesn't fix anything. It exposes everything. It shows you exactly what you're dealing with. And sometimes she pushes back. She resists. She escalates. She leaves. She may even ask for a divorce. And that's what you've been avoiding the entire time. Not the argument, the outcome. Because you already knew if you stood firm, you might lose her. So instead, you lost yourself slowly and called it compromise. That's the trade, whether you admit it or not. So now the question is simple, not easy, simple. Are you willing to lose a woman who doesn't respect you? Or are you going to continue adjusting to keep her and lose every last sliver of your dignity? Because only one of those remains, the relationship or your self-respect, not both. Not when the relationship depends on you silencing yourself to keep her comfortable. And that's the part men don't want to face. They want a version where they stand up and everything improves. That version doesn't exist. You stand up and the truth shows up, whatever that truth is. And then you decide what to do with it. Now let's make this practical, because this is where men get stuck. You don't fix this with a speech. You don't fix this by sitting down and explaining everything you've been holding in. That doesn't work. You fix this in real time. A comment crosses a line, you address it immediately. Calm, direct, done. She interrupts you, you stop. You correct it right there. Not later, not after. In the moment. She speaks with a tone that carries disrespect. You call it out. Not emotionally, not aggressively. Accurately and immediately. And then you stop talking. You don't over-explain. You don't justify it. You don't debate it. You let it sit. That's the difference. Because the moment you start explaining too much, you're negotiating again. And negotiation is what brought you here. So the shift is simple. Not easy. Simple. You stop letting moments pass. Every single time. No delay. No internal debate. You see it. You say it. And then you stand on it. No matter how it's received. That's the part that matters. Not the words. Respect becomes non-negotiable. Because once you stop moving, everything else has to, one way or another. And yes, that might cost you the relationship. But if the relationship only works when you betray yourself to hold on to it, what exactly are you keeping? That's the question. Answer it honestly, and your next move becomes obvious.